Hey everyone, Shoe Nice again. Well, basically, game page. Hey, you're listening to the Triotonic podcast. Have a good time.
Triotonic.
Thanks for coming back to the Triotonic podcast. You literally could not be anywhere in the world right now, probably just at your home. Here with my co-host Jose,
What's up, guys?
and we have special guest Brian Chirlo.
What's going on?
And this is our third episode, pretty much remotely, just locked down in our house. Got to make the best out of a shitty situation. So
Yeah, I noticed that you've become a WWE fan in the past few couple of days.
yeah. I've been reminiscing. I mean, I feel like we all had like that phase like in middle school.
Oh yeah.
So I had to take advantage of that free trial and revisit some of those D-Generation X matches and whatnot.
Okay. All right.
I wasn't allowed to stay up late enough to watch it, so.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, you're a little younger than us. That's true. That's right. So you
I feel like that was big when I was like in 6th grade and I had like an 8:30 bedtime and I was like, I never got to watch it.
Yeah, you ever saw Shawn Michaels fucking super kick?
I don't think so. I mean, I never really got into it either.
Gotcha. All right. Well, thanks for coming on the show. Usually we do it in person and, it gives it a little different dynamic, but, we're working with what we have right now and, it's helping us stay a little sane in between these walls. But speaking of staying sane, I know that, the industry you work in and stuff like that has a lot of like long, late hours. How have you been adjusting so far, being, pretty much home all the time? Are you still doing work outside? How's it like for you?
It's exactly the same. I mean,
oh yeah, doesn't change.
I mean, I rarely leave the house. I mean, I don't do much. I mean, I do some recording, but I don't do much recording anymore. I mostly do mixing.
Oh, okay.
So I rarely leave the house. It sucks that I'm not allowed to leave the house.
Yeah.
When I want to, but it's fine. I mean, it's not really taking any toll on me.
I feel like when the choice is taken away from you, like although you'd be doing the same shit anyways, when the choice is taken away from you, the psychology of it like makes it feel a whole lot different.
Yeah, it's a little crazy. I mean, I'm used to working in studios and stuff that have no windows anyway, so it doesn't matter to me.
Yeah, man. So I haven't seen you in quite a while. I've run into you a few times here and there, in the randomest places, and we say what's up. But the last time we actually really hung out and stuff, we were in the middle of Connecticut, like blacked out drunk, and playing some shows, with some awesome bands out there. But I know we have roots in music in the past, but you've transitioned into recording and mixing. How did you come about that? Like, when did you realize that you wanted to make the transition to recording?
I don't know. I think it was, everyone kind of stopped being in like local bands and stuff around like the end of high school and beginning college and stuff. And I wasn't done. I wanted to keep doing it. And, you've been in bands with multiple members and, everyone eventually finds their own path, and stepping away from music wasn't really one for me. I wanted to keep doing it. We cut a couple records, and this was probably like towards the end of us being a band and stuff, and I just wasn't happy how it sounded. And I was like, there's got to be some other way to make it sound good. We didn't really have a budget to do anything crazy. So we were stuck with that. And I wanted to continue, so I went to school for it, and here we are, like 12 years later, still doing it.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, I definitely can sympathize with that. Hearing some old records of my old bands, even though we were young and we didn't know what the fuck we were doing, but then it's like you put it in the car and it's like the bass is like way too loud, and you're just like, damn, this would have sounded a lot better.
I wish people still had their sessions, because I would like any of those bands, like I would, if they still had them, I would love to just remix all of them. Like knowing what I know now, that shit would sound crazy.
Yeah, definitely. I'd love to hear that. When you went to school, when you started learning and things like that, did you find that it was like a tedious task, or did you, being that you had the background in music already, like you were just like a sponge, like you were just trying to learn as much as you can?
It was a little bit of both. I mean, I went to school, and at the time, I thought it was great, and everything I was doing, I thought, I'm gonna get out of here, and I'm gonna know what I'm doing, and this and that. And it turns out, when I got out of school, I knew nothing.
Okay.
I was always a fairly decent student, and I graduated engineering school with honors and shit like that. So, I was like, all right, cool, like I got this. Then I walked out, started an internship, and I literally knew nothing. So it was cool. I wouldn't not do it, but I could have used that extra money right out of school, Like, I would have rather saved the money and went right to an internship and, started that way. But it was cool. I mean, it's different. There's so many resources and stuff available online now that the stuff that they taught me in school, I could have just learned online. The real learning was like at a studio doing, like, physically doing it, because anyone could teach you signal flow and mic techniques and all that stuff, but if you don't actually do it, you can't do it.
Yeah, gotcha.
And what was the force behind your decision to go where you went for school? And if someone was like looking to get into that line of work now, would you actually tell them just to skip school, or do you still think there are some things that they could learn from that experience?
What was the first question again?
What was behind your decision to go to IAR?
I started going to school at Montclair first, and they were supposed to have an audio engineering program, and they never did. So then I went to Bergen because they had a program, and they weren't using industry software and stuff there. They were using like Reason or Cubase or Sony Acid or something, and it wasn't anything real world for me. Like, why learn this? I did my research on studios and what people are using and doing this and that, and no one was using the stuff that they were using. And I had this one professor who was very knowledgeable and knew a lot about stuff, but he was an older guy and he wasn't too big on anything digital, so he kind of just picked the one that he wanted to learn, and it felt kind of like going backwards to me. So I left Bergen, and then I went to IAR.
Nice. Yeah, when I was at Bergen, we were using Sony SoundForge.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
Because it was free.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I feel like, Bergen, they got all that money pumping through there. At least, get some, we got so many good engineers in this area too, like just get somebody in there, somebody that wants to learn, show like this top shit.
Well, it's hard because, after going to IAR, your teachers are all these engineers and stuff that are accomplished and have done a bunch of things. But you soon realize after you start talking to them that, they gave up that side of the music industry. So, I was learning from people that haven't been in the studio in 10 years.
Yeah.
And, with technology changing so much, it's like, well, what good are you if you don't know how to use Pro Tools and you're teaching me a Pro Tools class? What good are you? Because it's just wasting my time. I had this one instructor that, we had these books, they were like projects to go through, and you have to like follow the directions and whatever. It's teaching you basics of Pro Tools. And if you were on, page 85 and you had a question, he didn't know how to help you. He would like start you from the beginning and be like, oh, no, let's go back to step one. I was like, yeah, but I did step one like 2.5 weeks ago. Like, we're going to start this over because you can't answer my question. So that was hard, and I wouldn't say not to go to school now for it because schools aren't doing that anymore. IAR doesn't exist anymore. So if you kind of didn't keep up, you got left behind and you're gone. So.
Gotcha. Yeah, I can definitely see something like that because it's the same. Like in the past few years, I've been working with a marketing company and things of that nature. And we have like expos every 3 months that we go to stay on top of like the newest trends and newest tactics that, 3 months ago, they don't work anymore. So sometimes when we talk to companies and they're like, we have this big marketing company that we're working with, and we're like, yeah, but this kid, yeah, he went to Illinois University, but he graduated in 2009 and he got his degree in 2009. He's still using like Google Plus and shit like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so it's like you don't want to go with that. You want to go with someone who's like in the trenches. You know what I mean? And they're like learning all the new techniques as they're coming.
Right. I mean, it's cool, but the other thing I've realized after, I have a lot of engineer friends all over the country and stuff, and we always talk, and never once did we get a gig and somebody ask us, hey, did you go to school for this before I hire you?
Yeah.
When I got my job, I got hired, right time, right place. I was interning at the studio called Bennett Studios in Englewood that's no longer there. But I was an intern, I was scheduled to be there, twice a day, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m., making coffee and, taking food orders and cleaning the bathrooms and stuff like that. Typical intern stuff that is now illegal that you can't do anymore.
Yeah.
That type of shit builds character, man.
Yeah, no, it's illegal now. They changed the laws for internships, and interns cannot do anything that benefits the company. They're only there to learn.
Wow.
So like you can get fined if you ask an intern to take out the garbage.
That's crazy.
So
good to know. That's high quality content right there.
It's crazy, and I've seen it happen before. I've seen studios go out of business because I'm not going to mention the name of the studio, but one of the interns there, his dad was like this like high powered lawyer, and the kid wanted a job at the studio, and he was there for like a year, and he never got a job, so the kid quit, and then the dad sued the studio, and the studio closed. They got fined by the state, the federal government, everybody.
Wow. That's crazy. You just see me go, Pedro, get out of here. Like the intern out. There's nobody here. What are you talking about?
Yeah, no, it's crazy. But like the way I got my job, I was assigned to be there like, 2 or 3 days a week. And then it was in the middle of a snowstorm one day, and I would go every day. Once I got comfortable with the engineers and everybody working there, like I would go every day, and I would, help with setups and breakdowns and learning everything I could. And, my boss noticed that I did that. And one of the engineers had gotten into a car accident on the way to work, and he was fine. But he just wasn't going to make it on time. And my boss came down and he's like, hey man, like I need somebody to run this session. Can you do it? And I was like, sure. And he was like, I'm only giving you one shot. He's like, you get one chance at this. He's like, if you say no, it's okay. Like we could come back and you can do it again later. But if you say yes and you fuck this up, that's it. Like you might as well just pack up when you're done and never come back.
No pressure, no pressure at all.
No, and everything turned out fine. I got the gig. Like, the session was over. He gave me paperwork, tax paperwork and stuff to work there and everything. But it's crazy because you can't do that anymore. Like the whole state of the recording studio industry it's crazy. There's no interns. There's no more staff engineers. There's assistant engineers that'll help the people learn the rooms and stuff. But eventually they get sick of it too, because, they're helping all these people do everything and they never get a credit on an album and they never get to do anything. So, they stay a year or two and then they leave. So it's just this never ending cycle of people in and out of studios. And if you don't get the chance to, work with that big client or, do these things once in a while, you're kind of, just dead in the water. Like, cool, I have, a $20,000 Pro Tools rig and I can't do anything with it.
Yeah, for sure. That's great that you mentioned your rig, because one of the things that we wanted to know is like, as far as I know that it probably matters what type of music you're recording or mixing and things like that. But from your experience, what have been some of the like gear options that you like the most to work with?
I mean, what are we talking? We're talking like for vocals, acoustic.
Let's say for one side of the project, we're like a rock band that's coming to record with you with like some extra instruments like piano, sax, and things like that. Like, for that side of the album, and then of course we'd be doing vocals too. Like what type of operating system you like, and
I mean, I only use Mac. I don't really mess with anything else. It's just a stability thing. I've been using them my whole life. Also, Pro Audio programs are designed for Mac. So they do run on Windows. Some of them do run on Linux, but they're not optimized for them. Gear wise, I mean, it really depends. I use BAE 1073s and 1084s as pre's for a lot of stuff. Mic wise, I mean, my favorite vocal mic I have a Telefunken 251. I mean, it's this is like really nerd stuff. I mean, if you're not into it, like it's just like, it's an incredible mic. It's probably, to me, it's the best mic in the world. I mean, it does have a nice price tag on it, but to me, it's worth every penny. A lot of people are like, oh, you can never tell the difference once it's mixed. Nobody knows what mic, and maybe not, but it makes the record that much better.
Do you like it because it's more dynamic? It has a better range, like with the projects you do, or do you just like the sound, like specifically?
I mean, all of it. It has a really, really tight low end, and it has a really detailed high end, and the detail in the high end is so clean, where other mics will distort in that high end.
Mm-hmm.
It's so detailed and articulate. It's like one of those mics that you use and you don't have to EQ it. You very rarely have to EQ it. You don't have to compress it. It just sits there. It sits in the mix. I love it.
Nice. That sounds awesome. Are there any notable projects that have been that people have heard that they use that mic on that we can like check out?
That one I did Freddie Cole, My Mood Is You. He did that. That's a jazz thing.
Awesome.
He
has vocals on it? He sings on it?
Yeah.
Awesome.
If you listen to that record, you'll understand what I'm talking about.
Cool.
But like for pop stuff, I like to use a Sony C800G. It's also a very expensive microphone. I don't own one. I wish I did, but I don't have an extra $10,000 laying around.
Yeah,
nice. That's probably on almost every major pop record that's been out in the last 15 years.
Wow.
And it's crazy because if you use one of those and then you go back, like there's an 87 right here.
Mm-hmm.
And like, to me, it's just like, it's just okay. Like if I had the C800 next to me and I was using this, it would sound like there's a blanket over this microphone.
Wow.
Gotcha.
So
it's crazy. Like you said, some people will say like, oh, you can't tell the difference, but someone that's like mixing and things like that, you could hear it like night and day, right?
Yeah. Well, I forgot who said it, but somebody said, a good mix can make a bad song good, and a bad mix can make a good song bad. So like it's all how it sounds at the end of the day. If you listen to like that chick Rebecca Black, that song Friday or whatever it was,
Yeah.
I think the whole internet can agree it's not the best song in the world. But if it didn't sound like a pop record, like a professional pop record, no one would ever even listen to it.
That's true. That's true.
The fact that you turned it on and it sounded professional, you kept listening to it.
Yeah, that's true. Shout out to Rebecca Black. She's looking, she's looking pretty nice nowadays. I've seen her making some new appearances. But
so a question I had for you: do you like set any guidelines for yourself, like as long as time constraints? Like, do you like to give your ears like a break and come back to a mix, or?
Yeah, I do it all the time. I don't have a specific time, but there's a point like in my head when I'm like working on something and I'm doing something deliberate and I cannot tell the difference. Like if I'm like dramatically EQing something and I'm like, this sounds the same, then I'm like, gotta go, gotta walk away.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely a good one. I know from other producers that I've worked with and things that also do their own mixing. They have like a specific song they like to listen to beforehand and things like. Do you have any like
Palate
things like
cleansers?
that? Yeah, like to set us like I guess a standard
Yeah,
for yourself. You
yeah,
do? Oh, cool.
yeah. I listened to. Hold on, let me get the name right here.
Yeah, I forgot where I was. And I'm sitting outside and I'm about to record vocals, and I just hear this like Close Encounters of the Third Kind sounding track in the room blasted. I'm like, what is that?
No, I listened to this track by Steely Dan called "The Last Mall."
Oh, okay, cool.
To me, it's and I guess a lot of people, but to me, it's one of the best mixed songs ever.
Nice.
So I kind of do that, to clear my head, but also to get some sort of sonic landscape in my head too.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's what I hear. You want to like map it out, like so you feel that depth and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And yeah, no, that's definitely some good stuff right there. I know that's like something that like people who never like recorded music and things like that would never even think of that. So
It's crazy. I mean, it's something I picked up from somebody else, but it really, if you listen to the song, everything is so, I mean, obviously it's part of the recording as well. It was engineered incredibly, but every instrument has a very distinct sound and a distinct place for it, and everything sits in the mix perfectly.
Nice.
Awesome. Yeah, shout out to Steely Dan too. Shit. You're fucking OG right there. OG. Yeah, man. So what are there any like new records, whether like something you worked on or something that that you've just been listening to other artists that you've been like really pumped about the quality on it that we could check out? That's like
I'm really into there's this writer, her name is Julia Michaels. She writes like Justin Bieber stuff, Selena Gomez, a lot of pop stuff. She's probably like one of the biggest writers in the world. But she took some of the songs that maybe didn't sell or maybe got a little too personal for her that she didn't want to give up.
Mhm.
And she put together this collection of 2 albums called Inner Monologues. And they're just incredible. The way they sound, the songwriting, the production, it's nothing crazy. It's minimal, it's pop, but it's not like over the top. It has substance, like the songs have meaning. So it's really cool. Like if you check it out, there's a song called, let me see.
Yeah, they usually keep some of those like really fire tracks for themselves,
Well, they do, but you have to be able to sing as well,
Yeah, that's true. You gotta execute.
And she really kills it. Like there's a song, it's number 6. It's called "What a Time." I don't know. It's just it'll do something to you.
Nice. Yeah. Sometimes, the people that have it, they might not be like performers or they might not be like that like star it factor that the labels want, but they definitely got it, and you can hear it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I worked I did some stuff with Justin Bieber and his writer. His name is Pooh Bear. He's a huge pop writer as well. He writes most of Justin's stuff, and like he's one of like those people that like when I worked on Where Are You Now, so when we were doing the writing session, he just pulled up a track and he's like, let's try this one. And this dude, I don't know, he might have his own album out, he might not, I don't know, but if he doesn't, he should. He just heard like 30 seconds of a song, of like a track, and then went in, didn't say, he's like, I'm ready. I'm like, for what? He's like, no, we're gonna do this right now. And he went in and just started cutting the record, and like he didn't write anything down. The whole song for Where Are You Now we did in one take. All the lyrics were just right off the top of his head. It was just like that. And like, I mean, I have the original demo that I can't share with anybody.
So like, he would go in the booth and like run it through, and then Justin just take it over.
Yeah, I mean, he just people sent him tracks and he just writes records, and he's like, hey, what do you think about this one? What do you think about that one? And most songs, there's like this giant transformation from the beginning to the end, especially in the pop world, like from the demo to the final product. Maybe there's 10 words of the original record in there,
Yeah.
With this song, the only thing that changed was the order of some of the sentences. It was It's crazy, but like he's also an incredible writer, and I don't find myself listening to artists as much based on just them. I kind of seek out songwriters and see what they wrote and listen to those records, because it's cool to know these people and, whether it's personally or just like know their body of work and then hear them modify it and express it through other people is really cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. While we've been in quarantine, I've been like really digging into like my piano playing more and stuff like that. And one of the guys that I was looking at, his name escapes me, but I know you guys will know who it was. He worked with like Britney Spears. He wrote like so many hits. He's from Sweden.
David Foster?
Max Martin?
Yeah, Max Martin. Yeah. And he's like, he takes like a very systematic approach to the songwriting, like the lengths of bars and things like that.
Yeah.
So what I've been doing is, while we've been in quarantine, I've just been setting up like the sessions with like the color markers, and then just been like plugging in pieces. Because with him too, like you just have to write a few parts, and then it's like it repeats, So you just like start putting it in. And
well, the thing with Max Martin is he's probably the king of all pop producers. He's one of, if not one of the most successful pop producers in the world.
Yeah.
And if you listen to his stuff, it's all very simple. It's nothing crazy. But when the writers come in and, he's 99% of the time, in the last 10 years, he's executive producer on at least the track he's working on. And he makes sure it's simple, but like the writing, he makes sure the lyrics and melodies are simple, but very powerful as well. Like his perfect example is Katy Perry with the record Roar. Katy Perry never had a number one song. She had all these huge songs in the top 10, but she never had a number one. And, the label was spending millions of dollars on her doing PR and doing all that, and she still couldn't get a number one. And then they called Max Martin. They're like, hey, we need a song for her. And then he put out Roar. He gave them Roar, and that was her first number one after her being this wildly successful pop star for like, 6 or 7 years? Like he just has this system to it where it's like he knows how to make a hit, and I know it's very expensive, but it's worth it.
Yeah,
definitely. I've heard that he will even compromise lyrics for the melody to sound the right way, how it's supposed to sound. Like even if the words don't make sense, he doesn't care. It just and he doesn't even know sometimes because he's not a native English speaker. He's from Sweden.
Right.
So sometimes he won't even know. He doesn't even care. And it comes out better. He writes number one, so it's pretty crazy how that works. But
have you ever had something that you worked on that, I mean, like obviously you can appreciate like the artistry and everything and appreciate for what the artist is going for, but has there ever been anything that you worked on that you were just like, Jesus Christ, if I have to listen to this again, I'm gonna hang myself?
That's like 96% of the work I do. Look, I do a lot of big records, but like they're few and far between. I may do 1 or 2 big albums or records a year. Most of my work is independent artists and local people, and it's hard because these people are trying and they're giving it their all and they're putting their heart and soul into this stuff. But sometimes they just need to listen back to the rough mix and be like, hey, this is really not for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true. Sometimes, what is it? Self-awareness, you gotta.
Yeah. Sometimes it's like, listen, you just play this in a crowd of people and just watch their reaction.
That's true. That's why I know some of my friends, they like to like go out to like the local scene and be like, can you DJ this song for me in the middle of your set and see the reaction the crowd gets, because they'll know right there if they gotta scrap it and go back to the board.
Yeah.
It's definitely good to test yourself. That's definitely a good barometer. People dancing in a crowd having a good time, they'll tell you the truth.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Because they're in some kind of zone. So if you fuck it up, they know.
Yeah.
Speaking of like clubs and performing and all this shit, like where do you guys think that the the short-term future of musical performances is going to go, considering everything that's going on right now.
I mean, I think everyone's still doing it. Everyone's doing stuff online, and there have been plenty of free concerts and stuff online and doing all that. And it's suffering now, all the live stuff. But once everybody's allowed out again, that's the first thing that people are going to do. They're going to go to concerts. They're going to go to clubs. They're going to go to bars, So, depending on how long it lasts, that determines the impact, but it's going to come back,
Yeah. I feel like, I've been in the past few years also been getting into the stock market a little bit. And I don't know what kind of disclaimers I got to throw out there, for me saying this, but I recently invested a little bit into Live Nation just because, a lot of the stocks have taken quite of a hit, which, to some people that will look like it's on sale, it depends which way you look at it.
Right.
So I did invest some money into Live Nation because I know out of all the companies, they look like primed to like have a lot of, festivals and things like that they're going to plan right away to recoup some of that loss that they took.
But I hope they don't add that in the fees though, because I'll stop.
Yeah, no. Yeah, definitely don't increase the fees, but I know that like there's going to be tons of benefits and all these concerts that they're going to be able to do. So I have a really good feeling that once this is over, it's going to come back with a vengeance, I think.
Yeah.
All those artists being on the sidelines, most of them, sometimes they can't link up because they're on tours and things. I'm sure they're going to make some like massive like linked up show or something.
Yeah, but they should also, this is a good chance for everybody to finish that song that they were writing or finish that album. And as a musician, you're not allowed to do anything else. So why not finish all that stuff you put to the side? And, you're like, well, I'll get back to it. Well, now's the time.
Yeah, for sure. Now is definitely the time for everybody that's listening. Go and finish your tracks and finish your songs. What we're going to do right now, we're going to take a little break for our sponsors, and we'll be right back with the second half of the show.
I want to take a few moments to, give a special shout out to all the people that make the Triotonic podcast possible. Without them, we wouldn't get to spend some time with you guys, even these trying and crazy times. So, firstly, big shout out to Rutherford Headshots. You want to spruce up your dating page. You want to get that good side on your LinkedIn profile, whatever it may be. I think they do private events as well. Just hit them up and they'll know how to handle you. They got the good shots. They'll get your good side. No double chins, nothing like that. So we'll have information in the description, or if you want to hit us up on social media, we'll get you hooked up. Rutherford Headshots.
Very nice, Andrew. Thank you for that. And our second sponsor is, without a doubt, Day One, Premier Rank Marketing. They've been with us since the beginning. They've been with us since the beginning, and they help us out with a lot of the stuff that we need to do for the show. So I wanted to give a special shout out to them, especially in the current times that we're in. I know. Talking with the team and everything at Premier Rank, all the people that are signed up with our services, coincidentally, the people that have been with us longer are being less affected by this shutdown of like walk-in business that you can't no longer do. It's very important to build your online presence in these times because you never know when something like this will happen. And, you're doing a lot of business delivery, a lot of business shipping directly to customers. And your online presence helps you with that because it makes you visible when nobody is out, driving around or like walking by your storefront. It's definitely important to get your online presence built and, ready to work for you. If you haven't yet, reach out to Premier Rank Marketing. They can get you started on a fast track plan to get you ready to go. And, again, special shout out to Premier Rank for being there for us. Thanks again to the sponsors that we just mentioned. Shout out Rutherford Headshots and Premier Rank Marketing. We're back here with Brian Chirlo and, of course, Andrew Carrero for the second half for the second half of the podcast. I guess, being that we covered a lot of, like music in the beginning, we want to get into some current events. This year as a whole has been just, pretty crazy. And it's just been like one thing after the other, from first started off with the Kobe Bryant thing, with his horrible situation that, his family lost and like the people in the plane crash. And that was like the first thing that I think like the whole world was feeling that. And then from there, it's like now we got this pandemic that slowly crept in. Like, what do you guys feel like? What do you hope and what do you see for like the summertime and like fall? You think this will be over soon? What are you guys thinking?
I think like it may be over within the next couple months, but I think the after effect will probably drag on into fall.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be hard for, especially like small businesses and stuff like that to get back on their feet, like restaurants and, stuff like that. If everywhere they get their supplies from and all that, they're not able to receive anything. And, even if it was over tomorrow, it would still take at least a month for everybody to get back to normal.
Yeah. Like I was telling Andrew, being that we're in the tri-state area, that, the stress hit us first here. And then eventually it's going to be out in middle America where this food is coming from in the farmlands. And, we don't know how that's going to be when they're under stress there and we're going to be needing the food, but there's going to be lockdowns there and we can't get the stuff here. So, hopefully it doesn't hit them as hard as New York City and things like that here. But yeah, I'm hoping maybe by the summertime, July, August, people are able to go back out and businesses are able to open up. But yeah, I mean, it's been a tough time for some people. We were talking about how like you're home with your kids and your wife, and you're not used to that because
yeah, it's crazy. But like back to your point before, like I have a friend who lives in Nashville.
Mm-hmm.
Nashville is obviously still a major city, but it doesn't. From talking to him, it doesn't seem like the people there are taking this serious because they're like, oh, it's only it's only on the coasts. We don't have to worry about that. But it's like I don't think they understand the severity of it. Like how many people one person can give it to. That one person that has it that's asymptomatic, and then they're going to the grocery store and they give it to the one cashier that gives it to 5 others that gives it to everybody that checks out, and that's how this is spreading. I think I saw today that New York City reported that they had less confirmed cases for the first time ever. But, we're going through like extreme stuff here, like there's a curfew, they've closed the streets, the parks are closed, and the only way to get through this is to take it serious. And it seems like other places in the country are like, oh, well, we don't go to New York, we don't go to LA, so we're fine.
Yeah, no, it's not really being taken serious in other parts of the country, like especially in like the religious community, which
well, that was the whole thing with like Teaneck in New Jersey, where it has a large religious community, and they weren't taking it serious, and they were still gathering and doing all their stuff, and they became the epicenter of New Jersey in Teaneck of the outbreak because they were like, no, we're fine. And it's like, you're not, like I really haven't left my house in, I don't know, 3 weeks. I went out to the supermarket once or twice, but like, they're saying that not everyone shows symptoms of it. Just because you're fine doesn't mean you are. My grandfather lives with my parents and he's 88 years old. If he gets it, it doesn't look good, so like I'm not going to take the chance of going to see him or anything, even though I feel fine, because who knows, I could be walking around having it.
Yeah, definitely. And same with me. I live with I'm in the same house as my parents, but we're separate floors. So I'm scared to death. My mom has some medical issues currently that she's recovering from, and she's on medication. So I know that that's like, like you said, it doesn't look good at all if she gets that, like,
yeah, it's and like we literally have to do nothing. Your only job is to stay home. Like, I don't know why people aren't doing this. Like, you're not allowed to go to work. You're getting a stimulus check. Everyone can collect unemployment now. Like, just relax. Banks are being lenient with mortgages. Your landlord, hopefully they're not a complete asshole, and most landlords are being cool about this. Like, you just stay home. Like, it don't matter if you can't pay your rent if you're dead.
Yeah, that's
true.
definitely true, man.
It's like,
One thing I wanted to bring up, I'm not sure if you guys saw it. A lot of these banks are given like forgiveness, but Bank of America, what they're doing is misleading their customers with this whole like
the forbearance bullshit.
yeah. At the
No.
end of the 3 months, they
You
gotta
owe
pay the
all of it.
whole
Yeah. Like, if you can't afford it this month, how do you think if we're not going back to work in 3 months that I could give you 3 months of mortgage payments?
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, nah, that's bullshit.
Yeah. It's crazy, you know. I think like some of these businessmen, like they're just thinking like people can't just make this shit out of thin air, you know. It's like
Right.
you got to bend, you know. You got to take a cut on your profits.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy because now you're seeing all these like giant corporations that, you know, they're worth billions of dollars and stuff, and they're closed for 3 weeks, and they're like, oh, we're gonna go out of business. We need a bailout and blah blah. And it's like, well, how could you be a $1 billion business and you don't sell, you know, whatever you sell for 3 weeks and you're completely bankrupt? Like, how does that work?
Yeah, no, it shows a huge like flawed system, and that's what I think is like really alarming.
I mean,
Yeah,
the only people killing it right now is Amazon.
Yeah, and all their workers are what do you call
protesting.
it? Protesting and shit too. So, and did you see that?
Are they
Jeff
protesting
Bezos-
because they don't want it, or because they have to work and nobody else has to?
Yeah, because they
not
don't want to
giving
work. The
them hazard
conditions.
They're not giving them hazard pay. They're not taking the proper precautions. It's just like a shitty situation all around.
Yeah, because their fulfillment centers probably have like 300 employees in there, and they all work like, you know,
On
cramped
top
in
of
there.
each other and shit.
Yeah, it's bad news all around, and it's like. Then I heard that Jeff Bezos was asking for like donations to like for like Amazon relief for like I guess the losses they're taking.
Yeah,
But then
okay.
it's like that on another side, he's
$4 billion
donating.
worth of Amazon stock.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, you know, you can't feel bad for these guys. Like if he makes like a GoFundMe for Amazon, you know, it's like, dude, you got like 10 bill you could just throw away like nothing.
Well,
you know?
that's the crazy thing, though. If he took no salary and he dumped 99% of his wealth back into his company, he would still have like $800 million.
Yeah, it's crazy. He's got so much money. I heard like the settlement his wife got was like upwards of $1 billion, you know?
Yeah, but
Way more than that.
he's worth like $68 billion or something.
Yeah, that is nuts, dude. That is
But like
nuts.
Bill Gates donated like 100 million to like a cure, or, you know, to help fund a cure or a vaccine or something.
Yeah, universal flu vaccine.
Right. And like that's cool and everything, but like that's like if, you know, you came up to me and you're like, you know,
Here's a nickel.
right, like if I had a 10 in my pocket and you asked me for a penny, I'm like, all right, here you go. Like,
Yeah.
you know, it's like not even that. It's not that comparison's not even good enough. It's like if I had 100 and you asked me for a half a penny, you know?
Yeah, no, I mean, it's crazy how little that matters. Like, I'm surprised that like these rich people haven't started a foundation where they just like pick people to give money to. You know, like like there's grants and things like that
Yeah.
people establish, but it's just like, dude, just hook people up. Like,
Dude, I saw a thing a couple of years ago about Bill Gates, and I'm sure it's even more true now, where they were like, if he dropped $1,000 in cash, he would actually lose money picking it up, because by the time he picked it up and put it in his pocket, he would have made like triple that already. Like that's how much money he makes.
Shit, it's not even worth it for him to pick it back up.
Nah,
Yeah.
because like the time wasted picking it up, he already made more if he just kept walking.
There's a hilarious comedian, Gary Goldman. He used to be a math teacher. He does the calculation of like finding the 20 in your winter coat.
Uh-huh.
What that would proportionately be for Bill Gates at his wealth. And he would need like a forklift and shit to get the coat.
It's crazy. But like people don't understand like what an actual $1 billion is. $1 billion is 1,000 million.
Yeah.
And
Insane.
and they have, you know, the top 5 people in the world have how much combined? Like $600 billion.
Yeah, that's fucking nuts, man.
Like just go pick some school with a great chemistry department and give them Be like, look, whatever it takes, just here's the credit card.
Yeah, dude. I feel like if I made, let's say, 50 million off some or won the lottery or something, I patented something, the first thing I'd want to do is of course, set up my financial shit in order, things like that. But I want to find a way to use that money to help people. You know what I mean?
Right. Well, there's that number. Have you heard of the fuck it number?
No.
So it's $7 million. Okay. If you have $7 million and you live a moderate lifestyle, if you put that in the bank, just off the interest, you get, I don't know, I think it's like $125,000 a year just off the interest.
Wow.
So if you put 7 in the bank and you're not an asshole, you can live the rest of your life and never have to work.
Yeah. Yeah, that sounds good, man. That's why I've been trying to get into investing and shit like that, because when I'm older, I want to have something that's I could chip away at a little bit, and it's kind of growing, that's what you want the main goal, I guess, people want to get to. But 7 million sounds nice. Yeah, that sounds like a good tree to chip away at.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's reasonable to not want to live paycheck to paycheck, which these recent events have shown us a good chunk of Americans are, living paycheck to paycheck, and then take away their pay for a week and the whole foundation of the economy crumbles. That's not healthy. That's not a stable economy.
Right. And the crazy part is these people that lost their jobs and the economy crumbling because of it are people that get paid minimum wage.
Yep.
Yeah. And
if Macy's closes, we don't care if the guy that owns it is out of a job. That don't matter to us because he's fine. But they're closing a bunch of their stores and laying off 100,000 people or something. And I don't know the number. But those are the people that, that show up to work every day and keep the economy running. That was I don't know if you guys saw the whole thing with the stimulus package for the self-employed and for people who lost their jobs due to this, with the extra $600 a week. And, Bernie, a couple Republican senators or congressmen or whoever were trying to block it. And, it had to be a unanimous vote. So Bernie Sanders gave this, 2 or 3 minute speech. And he was like, look, these people make, $8, $9 an hour, depending on where they live. And some people, they make less. So if they're making a little bit extra money, who cares? They need the extra money. Mm-hmm. And his whole point was in that same stimulus package was billions of dollars of bailouts. And he was like, this is unanimous. So if you don't pass this, I'm going to be the one vote that says no to it if you try to change it, because then all the corporations that you're invested in and have stock in and are partners with, you're all going to collapse too, because you won't let the little people just get by. So then you guys have to suffer too.
Yeah, it blows my mind that these companies are getting billions upon billions of dollars, and $1,200 is what the average American is getting. That's crazy, and that's not going to last very long for people that have lost their jobs.
No, and for me, it's I'm self-employed. I freelance. I don't work for a company. I work for myself. And I get this extra $600 a week. I mean, if I filled out the paperwork right, I get this extra $600 a week until July 31st, and that's all good and everything. But what I do for a living is not really considered a necessity to most, if not all, people. And
yeah,
people come to me to do stuff when they have extra money. So who knows how long this is going to last? If we're back up and if the economy is back up and running by the end of July, well, that's cool, but I'm still not going to have work because people still got to go to work. They got bills to pay. They got, people are going to be a little bit more frugal with their money because, who knows? This could happen again. They're saying that this could be a seasonal thing where if we don't find a vaccine, this could happen again next winter. So, that extra 600 for me is great. And for the short term, it's cool, but I have to just save that because I might not be back to work until October or November.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a big concern for the entertainment industry too. Like we were talking about the concerts and things like that, because being that, we're going out all the time and going to concerts and things, we don't realize, I mean, I'm sure some of us do if we think about it, but we don't realize that they're working in a pipeline type of industry. You're planning the events that you're going to do 2-3 months out, booking agents, things like that. So with all that canceled, you got to start from the beginning. Let's say we start up in August. A lot of these shows, you're going to have small shows here and there for people in their local areas, but then it's like tours and things like that. You got to like book that out. You know, it's
crazy.
It's going to take time.
It's crazy because also like when I mean, I don't do a lot of label work, but when I do, it pays well, but also it's always like a year in advance it's done. Like major releases, like big albums for like pop records and stuff, like they're done a year before a release date, you know, because they're planning tours and they're planning PR events and they're doing meet and greets, and they have to plan all that out. So like right now, if I don't get label work, you know, in the next month or so, I might not see it if it keeps getting, if we're shut down longer. It might be another year before I do a label project.
Wow.
Yeah, no, that scheduling is really another wrench in the whole thing. And yeah, man, basically, you know, just put good vibes out there. Hopefully somebody fucking makes a vaccine real quick and this shit's over soon, you know. That's definitely the game plan, because the vaccine, I think, is the key, because then once you have a vaccine, I think then people can get together in big groups and have confidence, you know.
Right. Well, that's the thing. As long as it doesn't mutate, we're cool.
Yeah. and little Fauci, whatever, however you pronounce it, he thinks that the vaccine wouldn't be until the next season. So we're fucked for now, but hopefully next season we'll be all right. But
I mean, I hope they get it and it gets approved quickly, because like from what he was saying and a bunch of other doctors, I was watching some stuff. They're saying that this could very well be just like this, like your regular flu, that it comes back like every fall. So if we don't have the vaccine,
it's just like a new thing.
Like like this is going to be the new normal. So if we don't have a vaccine, we're all going to be quarantined every October to August. We'll be allowed out September, and then that's it.
We're gonna be coming out like fucking like scraggly ass beards and shit, like not even knowing how to act, like
pale as hell, sensitive as eyes.
Yeah.
What do you guys think about like all the conspiracy theories that have been all over
I love
the internet?
them. I love all of them. See, that's
5G,
that's the rabbit hole I get myself into. Like, it's if you're looking for an intense conspiracy theory, you got to start with one that starts with Kobe, that turns into the coronavirus.
Oh, I gotta hear this.
I mean, I don't know all the details of it, but somehow, like, his number and Black Mamba translates to something else, and dude, it's crazy. I'll find the link. Jose, I'll send it to you if I can find it.
Nice, yeah, we'll definitely tag it in the video and shit.
It's crazy how like this all started with like they tried to assassinate him because he knew about it, because he was investing in a company the conspiracy.
That they sued for the name, right? He sued for the name.
He sued for the name, but like it was linked to the virus, and they killed him because he was going to out everybody, and then they wanted to release the virus anyway. It gets
wow, intense. Yeah, that sounds like some really
you gotta have some like crazy meth psychosis to start getting into shit like that.
Well, in quarantine, you know.
Hey, what else are we gonna do?
Yeah, I've heard some other ones about the 5G, how like they wanted everyone indoors so they could install this 5G. You know, there's been
do it while we're outside.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. I was like, you know, they never had any issues installing shit while we were, but apparently it's like really dangerous. And some high-profile name people like the boxer Amir Khan and stuff like that. Like you just see him, like the quarantine's got to him a little bit. Let's just say that much. Like he's like with his head against the wall in his bed, like posting a live like Twitter video. He's like, it's the 5G, man. They got us. But
it's crazy. But what are they saying that's bad about 5G? That there's negative health effects to it?
Yeah,
yeah. And then there's this picture circulating of a guy like near a tower that's 5G, and he's got like a hazmat suit on. So then they're like, why do you need a hazmat suit? But that's also been debunked a little bit, but it doesn't look good, you know, like people circulating that picture.
Yeah, well, before they work on fucking 5G, they should fix my router, you know? Dude,
get the other shit right first.
Dude, I live in a tiny little house. It's like 850 square feet, and I don't have internet on the other side of my house. Like, how about we figure that out real quick?
That's true. That's true, man.
Why do I gotta buy 17 devices to extend my Wi-Fi? But like I could sit in my house and I get the neighbor's Wi-Fi, but I can't get my own. It's the same company.
That's wild.
Is that a pen or a vape?
This right now is a pen.
Okay, but you do have a vape.
This is a
You
vape.
got me.
Oh, okay, cool.
I have both.
Okay, you rock the nicotine.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. He also has. What do you have? A Juul there?
I don't have a Juul, bro. How many times we gotta go through this?
I don't know. I just always think it's a Juul. But yeah, I guess some other things I wanted to ask you. I guess aside from like the music and the current events, just a few questions we've asked people that are on the show. Like, I know that since the last time I saw you, you got married. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Oh yeah, congratulations.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So sometimes we ask people about like the dating questions and like things on Tinder and stuff like that. So I guess that doesn't apply, but something that you could, yeah, something that you can answer. And I'm also in a relationship, so I usually can't answer, but I think back on the old days. Yeah. But what were like when you were out on the market? There was a free bid out there, just going about. What were like some of your pet peeves, like, or in general, just people when you meet people for the first time, like pet peeves that people do that
I don't know.
You don't really have.
I hate people that have their animal hair all over them.
Oh yeah, like a dog hair, a cat hair.
Yeah, like I mean, I have a dog and he's a maniac and he sheds like crazy, but like I'm not going out in public with his hair all over me.
Yeah, that's true. I feel like that's happening a lot with this quarantine right now.
Well,
I see a lot of people.
They're gonna pass right now. They're gonna pass right now.
Okay. Yeah. What about you, Andrew? Any pet peeves that stick out to you?
Pet peeves. I hate people who like continually speak over you. Like, I mean, if you're like debating with your friends, like it's one thing, it's cool, like it's all in jest. But like, I feel like some people, if you're talking to them and having like a one-on-one conversation, like they're not listening. They're just like listening to answer,
right?
Speak over you.
That's a good one. That'll piss people off for sure.
Yeah.
It'll either piss you off or it'll just like tune you out of the conversation and just ruins the conversation,
Yeah. I mean, the one thing I have personally for me, like in my everyday life, is when I get out of the shower, if the towel is still wet from the day before.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
That fucking ruins my day.
Yeah. That's crazy. You know what I read the other day that you mentioned towels? There was this lady online, I don't know, and like, those Facebook message boards, they get a little, Facebook groups, they get a little crazy. This lady's talking about how she uses 2 towels every time that she showers, and she throws those towels in the dirty laundry every time. So she uses like a month, like 60 towels roughly. I'm like, there's no way that, because she uses one for her face. Yeah, she uses one for her face and then one for the rest of her body.
And then right into the laundry.
And then right into the laundry, and then she's got 2 more towels. No way. You have a closet.
Lady too. That's my that's my next pet peeve. I hate that lady.
Yeah, definitely.
They make towel hooks for a reason, so it dries and you use it again.
Yeah, for sure. Exactly. That's right. That's why there's hooks.
There's a specific device, so you don't have to do that.
Yeah. So I guess I'll go with mine. My last one, just to end this off. First off, Andrew, let me ask you real quick. What is that, a screensaver on your TV? Because it's like Mad Jetsons-y. On the TV. What is that?
It is a screensaver.
Oh, okay. Because it's been going, and I'm like, what is that? It looks very like futuristic, and
you're like a little kitten, just like mesmerized by the screen.
Yeah. So my pet peeve, I would have to say, is like people who are nasty to like waiters, like when you're out to eat.
Yeah.
And they'll like call the waiter over and just be like, my food is like this and that, and just like be really nasty to them.
Yeah.
That's the Carols of the world.
Karen?
The what, Carols?
Yeah, Carol, Karen.
Yep.
Yeah, that really bothers me. So like, anytime I'll like go out with someone to eat, I just make like a mental note. I'm like, you can't do that again.
Yeah, and people that don't tip properly.
Yeah.
Like if you can't tip properly, don't go out to eat. That's it.
Yeah, for sure. Another question, being that we're talking about tip, do you guys tip when you pick up orders?
I do, but not as much as I would tip if they delivered or I ate there.
Yeah, usually I have a delivery amount, and then I have, of course, the percentage for when you eat out. You know, like
Yeah.
and then the pickup, I'll throw like a couple bones for preparing it in the bag and shit. But
Yeah.
because I know a lot of people that are like they'll tip when they go out, but they don't tip pickup orders and things like that. And then my friend was telling me, who's a bartender, he's like, dude, you got to tip when you pick up, because they prepare it and things like that. What about you, Andrew? You're making a face over there like you never heard of such a thing.
No. You don't have to tip. What I'm saying is like a buck in a jar here and there is fine, but you don't have to. I mean, the cooks are getting an hourly wage. I'm sure that the guys who are collecting the tips at the front, they're not sharing it with the cook. So what is he talking about? That they're preparing it.
That's very Euro of you. I feel like the way that you switched up your attitude right there, I feel like you kind of have in your head someone who told me that.
What do you mean?
Like who said that, and you're just like, fuck that guy.
No.
Okay. I don't know. That smile, it seems like you kind of do a little bit. Yeah, but yeah, I mean, so I guess we're coming to the end of the show here. We dropped some.
Now that you said that, I know who said that.
Okay. All right. Well, shout out to that person. They know who they are. They're listening.
Thou who shall remain nameless.
Yeah, Andrew knows who you are now. So, but yeah, you guys heard some of our pet peeves. Just in case you do one of those things. Now another extra little tip to not suck in public. I want to thank you, Brian, for coming on. There's very insightful stuff in the first half about the music industry and things. It was a good time. We enjoyed having you on. So I want to thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Awesome,
man. Yeah, I hope this COVID situation's over very soon and everyone's back to normal life. And I bump into you soon again. Oh, I wanted to ask you, Rick, right before we go. That I remember I saw you one time at Starbucks when I was going to see that guy from Shark Tank in Englewood. Yeah. Was that near the studio where you used to work?
Yeah. So our studio, we actually had a fiber optic connection under the ground. So we would like record concerts and like symphony orchestras and stuff at the theater, and we had fiber optic lines under the ground, and we would record it from the studio.
Oh, in the Performing Arts Center?
Yeah.
Nice. That's awesome. Yeah, I remember seeing you there, and I was like, I had like a Shark Tank book in my hand, and I'm like, oh, look at this.
Did you make it through the whole thing? Because I left halfway through because I couldn't take you.
Yeah, no. Yeah, I waited for the Shark. Yeah, I did wait for his story, but then we left shortly after. There was like some stock market guys that came on, but they were a little
trying to just sell you their service. Like, nah, I'm out.
Yeah, they were a little too pitchy, so I was like, I'll pass on this guy.
Was it Mr. Wonderful or is it the other guy? I heard
Robert.
Yeah, it was Robert.
Yeah, he was telling the story about Croatia and how he came as an immigrant.
Yeah.
Like all right, Andrew.
Hates tipping and Croatia.
Yeah. All right, man. So thanks a lot for coming on, man. It was a good time, and hopefully I'll see you soon.
Cool. Thanks, guys.
All right, man. Have a good night.
Good night, guys.
Later.
Later.